Great. Well, Weade, welcome. I'm just so happy that you agreed to spend some time chatting with me and with folks who'll be out there watching the video. It's been a real pleasure for us at Cadre to have a chance to work with and get to know you, and really appreciated all of the good work that you've been doing in Washington and by extension, throughout the country as a parent leader. Maybe just to kind of get things started, tell me a little bit about your job and your organization, what it is that you do.
Sure. My name is Weade Wallace, and I'm the Executive Director of Advocates for Justice and Education. We are the federally designated Parent Training Information Center for the District of Columbia. We provide free direct services to families who have children with and without disabilities in the form of individual advocacy to make sure that those children receive an appropriate education and equal access to services. We also provide trainings for families, educating and empowering families about their rights, what they need to know, how to navigate community systems. We also do trainings for providers as well to educate them on their obligations to serve children in the educational field. We also provide a lot of coaching to families to prepare them for school meetings, to make sure that they're able to apply the best practices and skills in managing their emotions and effectively communicating and collaborating with schools. In addition to that, we partner with many schools and the school district in the District of Columbia to make sure that our partners are working together to provide services to families and making sure that all the gaps are covered and making sure that families are receiving comprehensive services.
Wow, that's a full meal deal. I think I've told you before I went to DC public schools.
Yes.
And I know have some experience with the enormous challenges that students in Washington have historically faced and I'm sure continue to face. As you think about working with families, are there things that you've done that you believe have served you and families particularly well? Sort of advice that you would give to others who are embarking upon a career working with families of kids with disabilities?
Sure. I think there are two key things to take away from that. First is making sure that we're teaching parents how to be equal partners and allowing them to be equal partners in their children's education. Making sure that parents feel comfortable in knowing that their concerns are legitimate. Parents need to be equal partners to make decisions. They need to feel that they can also challenge any decision by the school. So really instilling that value in families to know that they have an equal stake in their child's education. They're their children's best advocate at the table. The other thing is really empowering families, making sure that parents feel empowered to make decisions on their own. And being empowered is also understanding your child's needs and also understanding your child's limitations and being able to clearly articulate what it is that you want for your child, what goals do you have for your child. At AJE, we celebrate any success that parents make when they enter into our parent center. So if a parent came to us not knowing how to challenge a decision, and if they leave from our agency after receiving training and coaching from us and they're able to call an administrator to schedule a meeting or to address their concerns, we see those as little victories and we celebrate those because that's a parent who was empowered to do something, to make a change or improve their child's education for the better. So we do celebrate the small successes, and I think providers need to make sure that parents feel empowered to truly make decisions that are going to make a difference in the lives of their children.
Yeah, and I see those as being big victories. Having worked with families who are coming from very challenging sets of circumstances and really struggling to put a meal on the table, and then imagining the extraordinary complexity of special education and the rules and requirements and the ways that oftentimes meetings feel like they're really stacked against parents who come in and can feel terribly alone. I think that the kinds of successes you're describing are enormous.
Absolutely. And I think as educators and advocates, we have to understand that we also play a responsibility in delivering not just academic opportunities, but social and economic opportunities to families that we serve. Because a lot of families that come to us have a whole host of other issues that they're dealing with, like homelessness, families with generational poverty, families who are experiencing mental health challenges that parents are dealing with as well. So we are not just providing access to educational services for that child, but we're connecting that family with other resources so that that child and that family overall well-being can be improved.
You know, I believe that people come to education very positively intended, and as I look at people, I believe that they're positively intended. And that said, sometimes there's a little bit of there may be creep away from those sort of foundational beliefs and interests that launched careers. And I know that sometimes you go into schools and it may be a bit of a stretch to imagine that sort of young, bright-eyed person who arrived deeply committed to kids and their education. As you think about schools, Weade, is there advice you would give to school people and administrators about how it is that you would encourage them to greet families and to work with families?
Yeah, I think, first and foremost, schools need to approach families with a positive assumption. Assume that families truly want what's best for their children. Assume that families really do want to collaborate with schools to get the best results. I think when you approach families with a positive assumption, you're going to get them engaged and you're going to get them to work with you to get the result that you want. I also think that we need to approach families with a problem-solving approach, not just giving them solutions that are predetermined and not allowing them to have input into those decisions. I think we need to make sure that we're involving them in solving the problems and not just giving them everything on a silver platter to say, here's what we think is going to work for your child, not really seeking their input. I think the other thing that schools can do is also to provide an open line of communication to families about their child's needs, not just some of the challenges the child might be having, but also what are some of the successes and accomplishments of that child. Really setting a positive tone and creating that open, transparent communication where parents truly feel that you do want to see their child progress and you do want to see their child have some meaningful outcomes, and you're going to celebrate the child's successes while working on some of the areas of weaknesses as well.
Yeah, I think that the plans that we experience ourselves as influencing are the ones that that are going to be the most successful. I just think about the incredible value of homeschool communication, and when parents feel like they were really heard and that they were a part of it, they're much, much more committed to that plan and its success. And very, very different than parents who believe that they've worked with professionals who have come at them with a change agenda. In just a very short period of time, they know exactly what it is that that family needs and don't pay a bit of attention to the wisdom that the family brings to the table.
Right, and that's where that transparent, open line of communication comes into play, because that parent is not caught off guard by some of the concerns that you're bringing up if you're frequently communicating with them about how their child might be doing. And seeking their input in whatever different approaches you might be applying in the classroom or techniques. Whatever you might be doing in this classroom, you need to share that with the parent, make sure that they're able to provide some input on that as well.
Yeah. So you've had the chance to work with and train advocates and to work with people who are sort of newly entering into this whole realm of facilitation, dispute resolution, collaborative problem solving. Are there, as you think about sort of a new person who's come and said, we ought to, teach me. I mean, are there things that you that are most important really to impart to people who are coming newly into the area?
Yeah, I think, really being able to have some coaching skills, because a lot of being an advocate is being able to coach parents and prepare parents to do things on their own, not you as an advocate doing the role for them. So really coaching parents, allowing parents to understand the big picture, understanding their child's disabilities, their child needs, understanding how to review an evaluation, how to interpret recommendations from that evaluation, understanding what are some of the implications of some of the recommendations, and how do you prepare for a school meeting. If you're a parent, how do you communicate your needs and manage your emotions at the same time? How do you negotiate? So really having those coaching skills as an advocate so that you can properly prepare parents to be an effective advocate for their children.
Yeah.
I think mock IEP meetings is also very critical. As an advocate, that's something that you can participate in with parents, with your parent, really preparing them to participate in an IEP meeting to be successful. Also providing them with the tools and the resources they need. That's also really on their level of understanding. One thing that a lot of educators fail to do is to provide resources to families that are culturally responsive and also that meets the family's literacy skills and other challenges that that family might have. So making sure that you're providing resources to families that directly meets that family needs.
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing up culture. I mean, DC is an incredibly diverse place with so many different cultures and languages and worldviews. Sometimes we find ourselves working with cultures where sort of the level of active participation that's important in an IEP meeting is culturally uncomfortable or unfamiliar.
Sure.
How do you approach a situation like that?
Yeah, I think it's part of understanding cultural reciprocity and what that means, understanding your own values as a professional, and understanding the values of that family based on their culture, and how do you effectively support that family and help them to make decisions without imposing your own personal values on them. We do provide trainings for our advocates, and we have in the past on cultural sensitivity, cultural reciprocity, and what does that mean? If I'm from a different culture and I'm working with a family who has different values than I do, that does not limit me from providing that family with the support that they need. I'm going to give them the tools and the resources and the skills and allow them to make those decisions on their own. So if a family is coming from a culture where the male is the dominant individual in that culture and the advocate cannot communicate with the mother and can only communicate with the male, we respect those values and we make sure that we provide that information to the family and allow them to use it in whatever way is most comfortable to them. But we have ran into challenges like that based on cultural differences, but I see those more as opportunities, not so much challenges. And really understanding our differences and using different strategies to allow parents to make decisions that work for them.
So is there anything, I really would hate to squander the opportunity for you to say anything else that you might want to say about, really anything.
Sure. I would definitely say that, overall in special education dispute resolution, there's a myth that a lot of families do want to go the route of having more legal options to resolve issues. And it's not the case at all. In our work and working with families as a parent center, a lot of families do want to resolve issues early on. And they do want to collaborate with schools because they want something that's going to allow their child to receive the services they need right away. They don't want a long, drawn-out process to resolve concerns that they have regarding the IEP. So I think that districts need to invest in more early prevention mechanisms for families to resolve issues at the school level, things like facilitated IEP and other options, making them more available to families to resolve their concerns. I think that will be a huge benefit to the District of Columbia and a lot of other school districts to give more opportunities for early prevention of or concerns and conflict that may arise in the IEP process.
Well, I've noticed that things are definitely getting better in DC. There's a long, long ways to go, but if you kind of look at the trends in terms of the data, there are definitely fewer due process hearings, and it feels like that some lost real estate is being reclaimed, and I'm sure that that's in part due to all of your hard work, that of you and your colleagues. So thank you very much for coming and giving your time, and I look forward to opportunities to work with you in the future.
Likewise. Thank you very much.